Good morning. Welcome to Jane's Garden World. We're excited. It's July now. Officially summer. And this is our big garden that we have protected by the deer fence and also at the bottom to keep the squirrels and other critters out as much as we can. And it's a wonderful garden this year, as it is every year. We have the raised beds, and in the back where we'll start, in addition to the beautiful echinacea and lemon balm and St. Francis, we have some irises here that we have from a friend. And look, zinnias, sunflowers, and cucumbers planted in the back. And I'm pretty excited because I got a late start on the cucumbers. However, you can see we have flowers. They're going to be climbing. I am going to be training this, look at this beautiful thing, up this trellis. So of course I have some work to do there. And I'm excited. We have a couple different kinds of cucumbers. We have the straight 8 variety, as well as some pickling cucumbers. Now I have to do some work here to weed this bed where we planted sweet potatoes and regular potatoes, and they're coming up. Red onions, white onions. Yes, I need to pull out some things, but I expect to be getting a really good harvest of onions this year, and I'm excited. I dedicated the whole bed to onions. And of course, my favorites coming up are in the big raised beds where I have tomato plants with tomatoes on them. Nothing quite ready to eat yet. The borage is in between, and I planted some this year, but this volunteered from last year, and we had some rain, so it's kind of falling over. But these little blue flowers, this plant, totally edible. The whole thing tastes like cucumbers. Also, we have some marigolds coming up, which will be companion plants to the tomatoes, and different varieties of tomatoes in here. This one, the solar flare, is a sort of picky little variety, and I only had a couple seeds, so I'm hoping that this will come along this year. But you know, it's been fantastic. I had to add some more support. I'm going to be training these up, and I'm really excited to see all of the tomatoes coming along so beautifully this year. So the raised beds, we only put 2 in. Didn't seem like much at the beginning, but as you can see, these are indeterminate tomato plants, so they will continue to grow. The determinate puts out a whole big crop all at once, which is great for things like canning or making paste. But for us, we want to be just sort of eating tomatoes as long as possible, and so these indeterminate varieties that continue to produce and grow well into the summer and fall are perfect for our purposes. Also planted in here some nasturtiums, nice and spicy. I love that taste. Got a little bit of a bitter arugula taste to it. And more marigolds will be coming up. Oh, there's a little volunteer tomato plant. Yeah, I let that come along. I don't have any idea what that little tomato plant is. So I just put in a couple extra cucumber plants here. And then look at these giant zinnias. Really excited about these. Cherry Queen is the name of one of them. The brandywine potato leaf has this gorgeous, gorgeous shaped leaf. Kind of heart shape as they begin, and then they come into this like trifold. Very, very beautiful. Also puts out an amazing beefsteak. The Mountain Princess, on the other hand, much more of a clumping habitat. She's small. She's not a huge tomato plant, but I'm excited. She's got a lot of tomatoes on her, and I'm expecting to get great tomatoes out of her this year. In between, more zinnia. So easy. Really, I'm an easy gardener. I just throw down the zinnia seeds and the marigold seeds. I do cover them with this black gold seed starting mix, which is great. Allows the seeds to start, gives them some ability to sort of hang on to something. And they're just amazing from these little seeds that I sprinkled on the ground coming up. Now, volunteering here is the fennel, which the swallowtail butterfly caterpillars love. I've got, yes, some things fell over in the rain last night, and these plants are going kind of wild. So I have a couple more tomato ladders. It's really good to keep the plants off the ground and give them a chance to grow as much as possible. So definitely have plenty of opportunity here. So we have a total of 6 plants for tomatoes in the big garden, and each one is a different variety. But of course, I had extra tomato plants. So let's go see the new garden we have now down at the patio. Really, everything is looking good here. Jane's Garden World. I decided to repurpose some containers that we had downstairs and line them with coconut matting and then fill them with organic potting soil. Now, there were a couple reasons to do this. First of all, container gardening is great. You have control over the soil content. As long as you have a water source, which is right nearby here, you can keep everything watered and growing. And it's also a way to enhance your garden space. If you don't have enough room to go down, you can always go up with these containers. So in the containers here this year, we're growing all organic food. I'm really excited. We have some sweet potatoes here, just a couple of them. Like I said, we have some in the garden, but I wanted to try some in the containers. And the potato plants are doing great. In fact, I would like to have some bigger containers for them next year. But doing beautifully. And in the white crates, we have white onions. In the red crates, we have red onions. As I said, all organic. 3 amazing tomato plants back here. The first one that you can see is wild, for sure, Matt's Wild Cherry. It's a great producer, and it puts out all these vines. It goes crazy. It's wild. If you put it in the garden, it will be throwing out vines all over the place. And I love this tomato plant. And the cherry tomatoes are beautiful, sweet clusters, you know, just fantastic. Then coming up, of course, the potato leaf. As I mentioned before, these are gorgeous leaves, heart shape, and then they get a trifold. We love this plant. And look, we've got beautiful beefsteaks going on here. I think if we have some nice hot sunny days, it won't be long. Now down on the end, and I got a late start on her this year, we have Anna's Russian tomato plant. She has some started. These are heart-shaped tomatoes almost. They're really beautiful and they're delicious. I am probably going to be putting some of these plants that are in containers behind the fence and extending up the fence higher because these plants are doing really well so far. And as you know, it's just the beginning of summer, really, technically. And I'm excited to be able to have a garden right near the water source, which is very important. We didn't have a lot of rain early on. And I've started some herbs and things down here, which is, you know, really great to have with all of this delicious food that we're growing. Thyme will enhance the potatoes, and purple basil, cinnamon basil really is delicious. Oops, here we go. Looks like I have yet another tomato plant waiting. This is Matt's Wild Cherry. And what's great about this is, okay, it's July, you know, and I planted a couple extra cherry tomato plants late, thinking I might either give them to a friend or put them in a grow bag. I have a couple left. Put them in one of these containers and maybe put them down in the greenhouse even, where they're super protected, a little farther from the water source. But I was able to keep tomato plants going in the greenhouse one year when we had too much rain. So much rain in August that I think the plants kind of, you know, were over early, shall we say. But the ones that I had in our greenhouse, I was able to control the amount of water. And in fact, they did really well up until September, maybe October. Last up, if you've got time, let's take a quick look at our garden up here, where the remaining 6 large tomato plants are residing. We don't have as much sun as I would like because our property is surrounded by beautiful oak trees. So if we think of the tomato plants as being randomized into 3 groups for this tomato growing trial, we have the big garden, we have the patio garden, and then we have this garden, which has 6 beautiful plants. Each one is different. There's a Cherokee purple, there's a striped yellow German, big German plant, and they are looking good. mortgage lifters at the one end. There's also an orange tomato plant in here. I think they gave me some free orange tomato seeds. And at the very end, our little mountain princess. She's got some tomatoes on her, and she had the first tomatoes. So of all the plants, she's most likely to have red tomatoes perhaps soon. Now you can see I'm going to pull off the bottom leaves. This is what happens when the leaves touch the ground. They can pick up stuff, little black spots, so we take those off. These plants should continue to grow. I have the deer fence covering them up. I may work on creating more of a structure out here since it's a lovely spot. It gets good sun most of the day, and it's what the tomatoes need, right? As long as I can keep the critters away. I expect to be inviting you back shortly to see some of these tomatoes when they are fully ripe, red, and ready to eat right off the vine. There's just nothing like it. Maryland summer. Thanks for visiting Jane's Garden World. We'll see you next time with tomatoes.